Słuchacie Akademickiego Radia Luz na 91,6 FM. Nietypowo w sobotni wieczór kłaniamy się z Sound Experience przy ulicy Tęczowej, gdzie odbywa się dzisiaj panel dyskusyjny przy okazji naszej imprezy SPLOT z Salim i Blackeye MC już dzisiaj za 2 godziny w klubie Ciało, ale na razie spotykamy się tutaj, żeby porozmawiać przy tej okazji o MC culture ogólnie jako zjawisku, które mamy wrażenie w Polsce nie jest aż tak popularne. No i chcemy się zastanowić dlaczego i ogólnie podyskutować o tym zjawisku. Cała transmisja odbywać się będzie w języku angielskim od teraz. Okay, guys, so hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming in. It's great to see you in such big numbers. So yeah, super cool. Thanks for that. Yeah, like I said before, we met today to discuss a bit about MC culture in regards to our coming party in 2 hours. Sully and Blackeye MC are headlining our next SPLOT night. And yeah, that's a great opportunity, I think, to talk a bit about what MCing is, what it stands for, maybe a bit about history, but also how it looks in our country, in Poland, in Europe, and yeah, what could possibly maybe the reasons why yeah, it isn't maybe some prominent, but yeah, not to make too many assumptions early. I'm gonna go into the introductions. So to my left, we have a great representative of Polish bass scene, grime scene specifically, one of the most talented young lyricists, co-owner and co-host of Cherry Picking, also WUB parties, club nights, OSKIMORON.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Next to him, we have a man, half music, really. He's an instrumentalist, he's an improviser, and that means instrumentally, but also lyrically. He's a freestyler and a journalist for Radio Luz, a DJ and producer as well. So the list goes on and on. SIEMPER, Michał Sember, welcome.
Hi, guys.
And last but not least, someone who is one of the biggest names in the MCing scene in the UK, drum and bass, headlining Rupture club nights for 20 years, is it?
19 years.
19 years, okay, so
20, yeah.
Almost 2 decades. Yeah, the man, the legend, Roderick Byatt, Blackeye MC.
Hi all.
Also wanted to shout out one more name who is in the crowd as well. Should be in the crowd, I think. There it is. There he is. Sully, who is also headlining tonight's event. Jack Stevens, welcome as well. Yeah, and I thought about quite a lot how to start this meeting and what to say, really. And the thing that came back to me sounds kind of trivial. But I would like to start with you, Roderick, and ask simply, what is MCing to you?
What's MCing to me? MCing to me is pretty much what it means. It's like a master of ceremony, you know. It comes in all different forms, whether you're a person who writes, or if you can be a host, you can, as long as you understand and know how to connect and work with a crowd and understand what the DJ does as well and connect the two together. You know, it's an art form in itself just to even do that. There's many MCs out there who don't write at all, and they can hardly say anything through a set, and you know, the connections that they make between the people and the DJ and the crowd is. It's a hard job. It's not easy being an MC, as you guys know. It's not easy, but that's what it means to me. Really, the main thing is the master of ceremony and the connection between the crowd and the music and the DJ.
Do you remember your first steps or first time behind the mic?
First time goes back to the bedroom days with my brother. Yeah, on nights on Sound Labs, and we used to share a bedroom. And growing up, so I'd have been about 14, 15, something like that. And yeah, it was, our house was the place where everybody used to come round all the time, every Friday and Saturday night after school, after college, throughout the years, and then get to know more people and always coming round, testing more music, etc. Yeah, Friday and Saturday nights was the spot where the neighbours didn't like us. That was...
What year would that be?
That would have been 95, 96, sometime like that.
Was that before you started going clubbing, actually? Like the first rave was after
To
that?
be fair, it all came about around the same time. So I would have been 15 at the time, 95. And so I was cutting my teeth in the bedroom, and at the same time, I was sneaking out going raving. Parents know that now. But yeah, I was sneaking out going raving at that time when I was 15.
We won't tell, no worries.
Well, they know now.
Yeah, the connection with the crowd is, for me, like what you said, it seems to be crucial, and it's, I imagine, must be hard to like describe how to get around that, and we'll probably talk about this a lot. But I also wanted to ask you, Oscar, because what you do is very similar in terms of like a form, maybe, but at the same time, yeah, it's you know, you're more of a performer and more of a rapper, I'd say. Like, what's the distinction between the two, you think, and how do you approach it?
Between emceeing and rapping?
And rapping, basically, yeah.
Yeah, what you just said is actually very accurate, in my opinion, because just spitting out words is much easier than actually connecting on an energy level with the crowd. And I would say I'm still learning how to do that. And also, I mean, the fundamentals of rap. Like in Poland, the hip hop and rap culture is much bigger than the bass culture or rave culture. It's pretty much at the moment it's almost non-existent in some places. So yeah, it's just I feel like being an MC, a true MC, is kind of being somewhere in between the DJ and the people, and kind of being a part of both worlds, ideally, and kind of translating the energy, or like being the connector. So yeah, I would consider myself more of a rapper at the moment, definitely. I come from a hip-hop and rap background. That's pretty much every Polish performer who would call himself an MC. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's much harder. I'm still learning to do that, and I wouldn't say I'm nowhere near being a true MC.
What about your first experiences with the mic?
In like a rave setting or like a party setting, or just
yeah,
in general?
whatever comes to your mind when I ask that question, maybe.
Yeah, actually, the thing that comes to mind is probably the set that we've done like 5 years back in Radio Luz with Janek there. It was so I've just started doing sort of grimy stuff with my friend, and yeah, Paweł and Janek, they picked that up and they just invited us to do a proper radio set. And we did a full 30 minutes of just grime tunes live, and it was amazing. And at that time, I realized how hard it is, because when you are emceeing over a DJ set, you have to dance with the selector, like you have to communicate with him, and then on top of that, like connecting with people and cheering them up, that's a whole different level. Because I realized that, okay, I have like 16 bars written, but then they make a transition and I have to kind of adjust myself to fit that. And that was overwhelming us at some points. And then, yeah, I think that's probably the first thing that comes to mind.
About capturing like the energy from the crowd and how it compares to DJing. I know you have experiences with DJing. Yeah. Michał, you as well. I don't know, Roderick, I assume you did as well. Yeah.
More with the radio side of things.
Yeah. Would you say it's kind of a similar thing to read the crowd as a DJ and as an MC?
I was just saying this earlier, to be fair. And I didn't say it fully, actually, because I said, oh, wait, because I'm sure this is going to come along later on. As an MC, as a DJ, you're playing the tunes, you know, at the end of the day, you know, there's no dance without a DJ. So that's the first thing. But with an MC, we're, like I said, we're the connection between the crowds and trying to work with the DJ. So we are seen, you know, we stand out. We're in front of the crowd, see us first before they see the DJ, you know. Any issues that's going on, they come to us, you know. Anything that goes wrong, a mix goes wrong, it's our fault somehow. So it's a hard job, you know. Away from just having to spit lyrics, you know. I have spotters. For me, I look out in the crowd and I sort of pick out, say, 5 people in different places, and I work mentally with them, because I can see, for me, I see people who hype the people up around them. Yeah. So if you could work them, you've got that side, and that's how I kind of work the crowd myself. That makes sense?
Yeah, interesting that you say it, because I remember vividly when you were doing your set with Double O during last festival on a Substance stage, and you were just kind of probing the crowd, you know, popping up here and there. Actually, it was very interesting to see, because like people were in the dance, they were focused, and were kind of surprised at times to see you next to them, you know.
Because I like being in the crowd as well anyway.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, that's where I come from. You know, I come from the parties, you know, that's where I'm supposed to be. You know, we're all in it together at the end of the day. So, you know, I've recorded this mic, I'll see you later, I'm out in the crowd, and I'm just walking around. I'm not even doing that to say I'm there to be, okay, I'm here with the mic in the crowd. I'm there because I just want to be in that vibe, as simple as that. And just quickly, just going on what you were saying in regards to trying to get the MC part and trying to hold that down, just take your time. That's one of the most important things that I can say, is just take your time. You know, you got your 16 bars, but you don't have to do that. You can break that 16 bars up. Yeah. You can just slow everything down and just look at every set as a story. Yeah, and just go on that journey and just enjoy the journey.
It's also it's probably gonna come up later on in the conversation as well. But I'm very interested on your take, like how you see the difference between grime MCing and jungle/drum and bass MCing. Because with grime sets, it's slightly different, because they are kind of set up to kind of give you the space for the 16 bars, and then there's another breakdown, so you kind of just. It's like hype on hype on hype on hype until like there's a reload and there's another reload, and it's kind of a different, a different setting in a way. But to be fair, I'm just gonna go straight into it, and then there's no way postponing it. So because I'm now steering more towards like a true MCing. I would love to explore that more and more, because I find it like. I wonder what your take is. Because I feel like true MC, a master of ceremony, has something of a shaman in him. Like it's a bit shamanic, because the grime MCs are more rappers, and it's like more ego driven. Whereas a true MC is kind of, there shouldn't be too much ego involved, because you're there to kind of be. I mean, I wonder what you think. That's how I see it, but. Perhaps
it's all kind of ego driven.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay, good to hear. It's gonna make things much easier for me.
To be fair, it's all kind of ego driven. You have to have some sort of ego to be up in front of people doing your thing.
True that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all kind of ego driven.
Okay. It's good news.
But it's like you said, and. I don't know if have you ever been to the UK?
Yeah, I've lived in the UK.
You've lived to the UK,
yeah.
So you've been in the melting pot of what the scene's like.
Yeah.
And like we said, it's culture, the sound system culture. It comes in different forms.
Yeah.
You know, but it all spawns from one place, which is like that sound system. Yeah. Toasting, rapping, MCing, hosting, it all comes from the same place. It's just gone off into different divisions. Even in jungle, drum bass, whatever you want to call it, from back in the day, you know, you had that whole MC convention where it was all the same thing. Everybody was grabbing the mic, everybody was grabbing the mic of each other, the wheelloads are getting pulled up, and it's the same thing, yeah? And then the scene kind of changed, grime came through, and a lot of those grime guys were all junglists.
Yeah, I know that. And actually, I'm curious on how because you must have experienced like firsthand the transition from of some MCs from jungle to grime, and because from my point of view, there's a distinction, because some people just never touch grime and they stay within the jungle world, and some people just go into grime and they rarely rap over drum and bass or jungle. And why why do you think? And how did it happen that they went their separate ways?
The scene is so diverse.
Yeah.
You know, the beautiful thing about what we do is there's no limits to where you can go. So there's always going to be branches. And some people just like catching a wave. Some people, you know, when it's all about the actual rapping and the MC side of things, sometimes the music takes a back step. Yeah, so it's made and set up for the MCs, where the other side is in respect of more of a hosted style. You know, you can find your lane where you can a lot of people like working with the music more than anything. So there's so many different branches that it's hard to say how somebody or why somebody would go somewhere. A lot of people cross the scenes at the end of the day. You know, it's just down to where your heart is within that scene. You've obviously found your lane, like what you're doing. You know, you found your lane, but you'd like to explore as well, and that's just important.
How do you find yourself, like, on the spot where you have to, like, come up with something, and it's you know, and the crowd is not on the same side as you sometimes, because in a rave it's like you all work towards the one thing, and during the freestyle battle the crowd could turn on you, I imagine, you know.
Yeah, that's an interesting remark. Well, yeah, it is competitive. You are your objective is to dominate the other freestyle rapper, and yeah, it's one of the toughest things about it is just to try to convince the audience, the crowd, that you are better than the other guy. And well, there are many things you can do to try to convince them, but
talk about their mother, or
yeah, of course there are certain subjects, certain themes that are usually more effective, that people react to, and that also shapes the lyrical content of the freestyle rap battles. And of course you can try to shape your identity by probably not touching those subjects or steering towards other maybe cultural associations or whatever, but yeah, it's difficult, as you said.
what about your identity in it? Do you feel like you do have like a way of approaching things, of roasting guys and you know your workflow? What's like, describe to me like the 60 seconds you have with a guy spitting in your face, telling horrible stuff about you, and you have to come up with something. How does that work?
There is so much adrenaline in that particular moment, so it's hard to think clearly. Sometimes you've got this great comeback in your head, and then you might forget it in the next 10 seconds, but then you come up with another one, and you might just start rapping, and then just between two bars you find something else that just popped into your head. So it's the spontaneity is probably the most crucial in that.
How do you guys relate to that? How much of a predetermined approach do you have, or is it all on the fly? Is it all in the heat of the moment? Is it all like right there?
For me, I'm learning to like let the rails a little bit, the reins, because mostly I have pre-written bars, and I just kind of try to get the feeling of what the DJ is going to play next, and then just go all in. But recently, I've been experimenting with like 4 bars of freestyle here and there, you know, to fill it up, to slow it down a little, because I have a tendency of writing very quick bars. And it sometimes, when the music is dense, it's just too much for everyone, because there's like, you know, hi-hats going, and then I have my words are going pretty much in the same manner. So it's just overwhelming for me, for the crowd. So I am now experimenting with the freestyle side of it, and I'm actually interested in how you approach it, because I know a lot of MCs just freestyle their way through the set. Some have pre-written bars. I don't know. I think like Skibadee was like known for doing this. So
He was a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a machine. Yeah, I've got the, you know, pre-written, but after a while, they all start blurring into one, and how you use those bars on stage it all depends on where you are in the set, and that's what I mean by just pretend or just think that you're listening to a story. So that you can just, every set has got a chapter, and you just work with each chapter, and you just adapt to it, and that's how I work on the set, you know. And some things just come off on the fly. Just you didn't know it was going to even come out, but it just worked because the sound is there, and what's being played there, it just seems to come out. The emotions come out, and that's the reason why we love doing what we do. But then, at the same time, you know, it could be at a Rupture event, you know, where Double O gets on the mic, like you saw at the last festival, and all of a sudden, the next 10 minutes is just us going back to back, you know, non-stop. It all depends on what's going on at that point in time, with the sound, with the music, with the crowd, etc. Because at the end of the day, they want to listen to the music. I want to listen to the music as well. So yeah, you got pre-writtens, but it all comes out in freestyle at the end of the day.
By the way, I forgot to mention this, but if any of you have any sort of question, you can feel free to raise your hand or come forward and chime into the discussion, because you know that's the point, to have a conversation here, not only us talking. So feel free. But let's talk about letting the music speak, and how do you come about that? Reading what the DJ is trying to tell with his story or their story, and you know, finding your place in there.
It's important to let the music breathe as such. For me, you'll notice a lot of the time my eyes are closed. I've fallen off stages because of that. No word of a lie, I've fallen off stages and just felt air because my eyes are closed, because I'm just so locked into what's being played.
Is that where Blackeye comes from?
Pretty much.
Actually, that's an interesting question.
I'm going to go with that. Letting the music breathe is an important part of the game. Once again, like I said, slow down, listen to what's going on, listen to the transition that the DJ, listen to what the DJ's doing, basically, and then you just adapt yourself to that. That's the way I work.
Let's come back to the crowd. Oscar, when you are rapping, performing, do you take the time to, as Roderick described, kind of read what's happening, or you just go, gas to the floor and whatever happens?
Well, you have to read the room at all times, at least in some aspects, because can never predict what's going to happen. I mean, I think what you just said, a lot of things come with time, because I have been emceeing over DJ sets for maybe 2 years, so it's not a lot of time, and I can see that with every set. There's just, your intuition grows, and you just don't think, you just feel more, and I think it's very welcome. Feeling more is more welcome than overthinking everything and just like looking at the decks. Oh my God, there's a drop coming in. I have to jump in. And the best sets that I've done were where I was feeling more than I was thinking. And what was I forgot the question. Could you?
Me too. I was thinking, what's on that? I was asking about, like Roderick described, reading the crowd, right?
Yeah.
So I like made maybe a rash assumption that in the grime set you're trying to just give out energy. So what's the process on that?
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's like with grime and dubstep sets. I'm mostly just trying to impress the crowd, and make the energy go as high as possible, and then ideally convince the DJ that it's a good idea to pull it up, and then do it again, and yeah, just like it's an amazing feeling of kind of creating energy. There's nothing like it. That like you combine forces with the selector and the people, and there was no energy, and suddenly there's too much energy. And then you have to calm down a little and go back up.
Right. What I also want to touch on is a language as a tool for a lyricist or an MC. I feel like Polish is kind of a difficult one. Like, it's hard to be to have melodic bars that at the same time like fit into the grid and all and sound good. Michał, how do you feel like operating in that area where you have to, again, off the top of your head, come up with lyrics that are oftentimes like hard to put together?
Yeah, it is challenging, especially if you are about to do it quite fast. The Polish language doesn't lend itself that great to it. So if you have those trap beats or grime beats, then it is certainly not that easy. But it is a challenge, and it's very satisfying to try to come up with those that fit the beat nicely. Like, it is appreciated, but sometimes it's not the most important thing. I would love it to be more important, but nowadays it's more about the offensive lyrical content.
All right. Yeah, I always think about, we have this grime MC in Poland, Ginger, and I think a lot of stuff that he does very successfully is placing accents in Polish words where they would not belong in like normal speaking language. I don't want to like give an example because that would go horrible, but it's really interesting to see how it works. How do you feel like having that tool of Polish language at your disposal? Do you feel like you can express freely and also like do what you need to do, or do you see it?
I would say it's a huge obstacle, to be fair. Having tried writing in both English and Polish, Polish language is probably one of the worst. I mean, I don't know all of the languages. I know actually 2, so
Latin is horrible, I hear.
But from all of the ones that I know, Polish is the hardest one. But especially with club music, and English is makes it easier because there's a lot of one-syllable words. There's not a lot of conjugation, and in Polish there are just long words, a lot of consonants next to each other, and everything has to be conjugated, like everything. So it's really challenging to kind of make it work. For me, when I'm writing like grime verses, it's very challenging because grime is known for having those like accents at the very end of a line, like ideally one syllable accent. And but then you just have to kind of switch your thinking, and then like with every obstacle, like at some point it becomes an advantage. I feel like when you kind of grind enough, it just you just work your way around the hardships, and it becomes natural. But it's not natural by nature to kind of write in Polish.
What I feel also is that like words in English or in any language for that matter all have, besides of their like semantic meaning, they also have like their emotional charge to them, you know? So you can translate things, but oftentimes you can never get like one-to-one translation with what someone tries to express also emotionally, like with the phrases. And that's an interesting ground for me, because like the instrumental part of it is very much deeply rooted and in the UK, I'd say. How do you feel about the reception of what you're doing on the continent?
I mean, it'll be good for the continent to actually book more UK MCs as well, because I'll find, I was speaking about this earlier, I find that a lot of the time, you know, DJs get booked, but not a lot of MCs, especially drum bass MCs, get booked. Whether that's a shift in the scene, but I find that, I mean, that's kind of happening a little bit in the UK, not as much, because the foundation is. You
mean the happening with the less MCs? You mean?
Yeah, a lot of promoters just book DJs and not necessarily always book the MCs as well. So we're still, from years, we're still fighting our corner, but. You know, luckily enough, with, you know, our foundation is always going to be there, and that's, you know, that's never going to disappear with the MC culture. But across the border, I find it works because, like you said, you know, a lot of people do still speak English, where I have to adapt to myself. So a lot of the times I try and find certain words in the country I'm in. Just to shout out here and there, just so I can feel local, you know.
I remember on Outlook Festival, Chunky was emceeing over Lofa's set, and he was saying "Dober dan," like good day, in Croatian, over and over again.
Yeah,
like, it's that kind
you've got to try. You've got to try. But at the end of the day, you know, you're in a good place, because at the end of the day, you got multiple languages you can speak. So that's always going to be an advantage.
How do you feel, guys? Go ahead, Michał. I think you wanted.
Even Dober dan seems more fitting than Dzień dobry or Dobry wieczór.
Well, I don't want to shit over Polish too much. So yeah, it's a beautiful language.
We're entitled to.
Yeah,
we're entitled
to be clear, I love Polish languages. It's amazing, but probably the difficulties are what makes it so special.
Yeah, pressure makes diamonds, right?
Yeah, sure.
How do you guys feel, Oskar and Michał, about the MCing culture in Poland in the club context? Do you? For me personally, as we talked earlier with Jack and Roderick, I feel like I know, like, Polish MCing is either very much reggae pretty much, or like dub, very influenced, and the other thing is like this hard Wixa or like dunk type of stuff where it's very fast kicks, and it's just like, okay, we're taking off, and it's just like basically shouting and just bringing up the energy from here to up there, you know. How do you see it as a, you know, as a thing? I'm curious.
Well, there is the great example of Miły ATZ, who became very popular through doing what he does, which is emceeing over club beats in general, the bassy stuff.
But don't you think he's kind of
An
his
outlier.
rap, he's an outlier. That's one, but his rap background helped a lot in that. That's kind of surprising to me. I also wanted to touch on that because like when he was doing Mordor music with Ginger, I mentioned earlier, the grime stuff, they weren't that popular. Then he went to Asphalt Records, it was, or something, and started to do more of a traditional rap stuff. And then he went back to the club, to bass stuff. And I feel like a big chunk of his crowd is just like his fans from rap, just going to Miła TZ and not necessarily going to bass event, you know.
Yeah, that is
horrible,
possible.
so.
Like he's very like a jack of all trades. Like he does it all, and probably in Poland, like you have to prove that you are a good rapper, and then you can go to all of these different places, different genres, and yeah, as you said, maybe a lot of his audience comes from the hip hop rap circles, but it's also an advantage that he shows those different genres to those people and makes them into like, yeah, he introduces them to the sound system culture, the UK music.
Yeah, I honestly think it's just a lack of culture, of rave culture, because in England, first of all, like in England, there's like diversity, like cultural diversity, people from all corners of the planet, and they just combine in this one place, and it allows for like what you just said about the diversity of the scene itself, of the MCs. So I thought that maybe there's a distinction. So there's like jungle MCs and grime MCs, and you don't feel a part of the same thing, but what you said is you are the part of the same thing, and that what to me is amazing. Like, there's only one place like this in the entire world, which is the UK, where there's so many people from different cultures living peacefully and sharing and actually exchanging their cultures. There were actually a lot of raves happening in Łódź. Actually, funny thing, because probably not many people know that, and it's going to be a big coming out. But my dad was one of the first MCs in Poland, in Łódź. He was a part of the legendary Sonic Trip squad. But I started rapping just because I left hip hop, and then only now I'm exploring my roots essentially. And actually, from what he told me, I was asking around before today. He said that like people, like there was always a big Polish diaspora in London, especially, and in England. So they would go there to work in the 90s, and they would bring back CDs and just memory of raves and how amazing it was. And he told me that there was like, I asked him like, when did people actually start MCing on the sets? Like, when did they start grabbing the mic and adding to the DJs? And he said that it was around 94, 96. And they had this old VHS of Fantasia New Year's Eve from 92, 93. And there was just one VHS, and they would pass it around, and everyone would watch it and be so amazed, like how there's like the energy, the MCs, the DJs, and the people raving. And actually, like when I watched some of the videos from late 90s and early 2000s, there was a big scene. Like there were like 2,000 people at the rave just dancing. And when there's so many people just enjoying the music, like an MC is a natural extension of it all. And now I feel like it died down. And hip hop has always been a big part of the culture since the early 2000s in Poland. So it's easier to start from the rap part of the scene, and then kind of, I feel like at the moment we have to make the scene again, MC live, and it's very nice to see, and I feel like we just have to make it from the ground up so that there's
What do you think changed?
It's a good question. I feel like the world scene in general, like after 2010 it was like dark ages a little bit. Like there was trap music and I'm sexy and I know it and Woppa Gangnam Style and all that. It was not the greatest time for the music. And I feel like the old MCs, just in Poland at least, they stopped MCing and the rave scene died down. And there were some raga MCs who survived and did some raves here and there, but there were maybe like 5 of them in total in the whole country. And like the guy we mentioned, Miły ATZ, he was probably like he was the only one kind of maintaining and being focused on actually building something, like carving a way for other people. And he went into the mainstream for a little while, and now I feel like he's going back to the roots and giving back to the culture. So I think it was the generational just exchange, and like the old MCs just and it's funny because I don't see any connection between the two versions of MCs in Poland. So the old ones, I don't feel like anyone is actually connected to the old rave scene from the late 90s, and I feel like it's just being born again in a new way.
Yeah, I feel like it might be connected to like the technology, how it works. At the time, I imagine people, like you said, they passing on tapes. They had some sort of an idea of how it looked like, and they tried to do their version of it. And here now, we are at the time where you have access to everything, everywhere. So you know exactly what's going on. I admit, of course, you have to be there to like really inject it. But now maybe that's why it's different. Roderick, where do you think the scene in the UK is? At what point is it at? Is it like a continuum, or do you feel like more people are into it nowadays, young people?
Yeah, the scene in the UK is healthy. I think it's very healthy. And it's good to see, like you were just saying in regards to even just access, you don't have to be spending thousands of pounds to buy equipment anymore. You can just have your home studio set up and just get on with it in your bedroom. It means you've got to go through a lot of bad music to get to good stuff, but everybody's got access to it. So that's a really good thing. So yeah, the scene in the UK definitely very healthy. But the problem that I'm finding, which is a problem worldwide, I would say, is the closure of clubs. Everybody cut their teeth from small clubs, small independent clubs, small promoters. I think that's they're the cogs of this scene. So now it's going to be very hard for a lot of new artists to break through if they don't know somebody, or if they haven't got their likes up, or if they don't interact with their page enough. So yeah, the scene's changed a lot, and that's down to a lot of it's down to either access and closure of clubs.
Yeah, hopefully, like it will somehow naturally find its way. Like there is. I'm a strong believer that there is the void must be filled one way or another. It's a confusing time in general, but
I would say even so, as much as the clubs are closing, this is what we do. We just adapt. So we'll just go, fine, if you're not going to put us in the clubs, we go back to the fields. Yeah.
Exactly. Any questions from anyone from the crowd? Maybe feel free to ask away either in Polish or in English, but unfortunately we're kind of restricted by the cables, so you do have to come forward. So guess not. Thanks everyone for joining. I invite you very much to join us in Ciało in about 1 hour and 8 minutes. Yeah, and it's been great having you. It's been great having you guys as well. Roderick Bajet, Blackeye MC, Michał SIEMPER,
thanks,
and Oski Pongowski, OSKIMORON. Thanks a ton. Thank you to Michał Macewicz, Oleg Spitalniak, and everyone involved in Sound Experience, a beautiful place we're at. Thanks everyone at Radio Luz, who is responsible for the live streaming of what's happening right here and right now. So a round of applause for them as well, please. Yeah, and like I said, see you in 2 hours. I'm just gonna do a quick sign off for the listeners at home. Dziękujemy wam bardzo, że byliście z nami na 91,6 w akademickim Radiu Luz. Już za godzinę, mam nadzieję, widzimy się w ciele. Do zobaczenia.